I stood at the doorstep of the sprawling colonial-style home, keys dangling from my hand like a promise of forever. The sun glinted off the fresh paint, and I could already picture my brother, Alex, building a life there with his fiancée kids, laughing in the backyard, holidays filled with warmth. I'd poured my heart into this gift. $770,000 from years of grinding in Silicon Valley, sacrificing relationships and sleep to make it big. But as I handed him those keys, I had no idea this act of love would shatter our family bonds and leave me uninvited to the one day that should have united us all. Growing up in our modest suburban home in Ohio, Alex and I were more than brothers. We were co-conspirators in a world that often felt too rigid under our parents' watchful eyes. Dad was a factory foreman, his hands calloused from decades of assembly lines, preaching the gospel of hard work and humility. Mom, a school teacher, filled our evenings with stories of morality and family duty, her voice soft but unyielding. Alex, 2 years my junior, was the epitome of their ideals. Polite, studious, always the one to volunteer for chores or help neighbors. Me, I was the wildfire to his steady flame, restless, questioning everything, doodling circuit diagrams in the margins of my homework instead of memorizing history dates. You're too ambitious for your own good, Dad would grumble when I'd talk about coding apps or starting a business. Life's not a video game, son. But Alex'd sneak into my room at night, eyes wide with admiration as I showed him my latest hack on our ancient desktop computer. One day, you'll change the world, he'd say, and I'd ruffle his hair, promising to take him along for the ride. Those promises echoed in my mind as I left for California at 19, dropping out of community college after one semester. The family dinner that night was tense. Mom's tears, Dad's stern warnings about real life catching up. Alex, just 17, hugged me goodbye with a fierceness that said everything words couldn't. "Don't forget us, little people," he joked, but his voice cracked. I didn't. Through the lean years couch surfing in San Francisco, ramen-fueled all-nighters coding in coffee shops, I sent money home when I could. Called Alex weekly to hear about his graphic design classes, his budding romance with Lily, the girl from his art club who'd stolen his heart with her sketches and shy smiles. "She's the one," he told me during one late-night call, his excitement bubbling over. "But man, apartments here are insane. We're saving. But it's slow." My breakthrough came like a thunderclap. The startup I'd poured my soul into, a AI app for personalized education, got acquired for a sum that made my head spin. Suddenly, I was the successful one, the prodigal son who'd beaten the odds. But success felt hollow without sharing it. The first call wasn't to a realtor for my own mansion. It was to Alex. "What if I helped you guys get a place?" I floated casually. His laugh was pure joy. "You're kidding. Primera SNT. Scouring listings, I found it, a colonial gem in their hometown. 3,500 square feet of history and potential. Wraparound porch for summer evenings, a basement that could double as Alex's studio, a garden where Lily could plant her beloved herbs. $770,000. It was everything I'd scrimped for. Every sacrifice, date night and vacation traded for stock options. I bought it outright, no mortgage to weigh them down. A fresh start, I thought, imagining their faces. The reveal day was scripted. From a Hallmark movie, or so, primero, oped. I flew in unannounced, renting a car to drive them blindfolded to the address. "What's this about?" Alex chuckled nervously as I led them up the driveway. Removing the blindfolds, I dangled the keys. "Welcome home." Lily gasped, her hands flying to her mouth. Tears instant. Alex stood frozen, then enveloped me in a bear hug that lifted me off the ground. You bought us a house? A whole damn house." His voice was thick, disbelieving. Mom and Dad arrived shortly after, summoned by my text. Mom's eyes shimmered as she toured the sunlit kitchen, fingering the granite counters. "This is too much," she murmured, but her smile said otherwise. Dad clapped me on the back, gruff pride in his grunt. Didn't think you'd pull it off, kid. We spent the afternoon unpacking dreams. Alex envisioning his design desk by the bay window, Lily planning a nursery someday, barbecue in the backyard, laughter echoing off the oaks. For the first time in years, our family felt whole, unbreakable. Butt cracks appeared subtly, like hairline fractures in fine china. At dinner that night, over Mom's famous pot roast in the new dining room, Dad steered the conversation to his old job stories, tales of loyalty and perseverance. Not everyone gets lucky with these tech bubbles, he said, eyeing me pointedly. I brushed it off as his usual banter. Alex, though, seemed quieter, his enthusiasm dimming when guests started arriving for the housewarming party a week later. Neighbors, old friends, Lily's family, they all looshed and oshti, but the whispers followed. His brother did what? Must be nice to have a millionaire sibling. Alex forced smiles, but I caught him staring at the deed papers, a flicker of something unreadable in his eyes. Was it gratitude? Or the shadow of inadequacy? Wedding planning kicked into high gear soon after. Alex and Lily's engagement had been low-key, but with the house as their base, dreams expanded. A spring ceremony at a picturesque vineyard, an hour away, rolling hills, fairy lights, a band playing their favorite indie tunes. I dove in headfirst, my way of atoning for the years I'd been absent. Let me handle the honeymoon, I insisted during a planning session in the new living room, surrounded by fabric swatches and floral catalogs. Anywhere you want, Bali? Paris? Lily blushed. Alex nodded eagerly. You're spoiling us rotten. I also volunteered as MC, scripting jokes about our childhood antics to lighten the toasts. Invitations were designed by Alex himself, elegant cards with pressed flowers, mailed out in waves. I waited for mine, checking the mailbox back in my San Francisco loft with childlike anticipation. Days turned to weeks. No? Embelo. Pemeta. At first, I chalked it up to oversight. Maybe they'd hand-deliver it during my next visit, but Anis Nord. Calls with Alex grew shorter, his tone evasive when I brought up the wedding. Everything's on track, he'd say, changing subjects to work or the house renovations. Lily's texts were warm but brief. Then, during a routine check-in with Mom, the facade crumbled. Honey, we need to talk about the wedding. Her voice, usually steady from years in the classroom, wavered like a leaf in the wind. My stomach dropped. What's wrong? Is it postponed? Silence stretched. Then, no, we think it's best if you sit this one out. The words landed like a sucker punch, knocking the air from my lungs. Sit it out. What does that mean? She sighed, heavy with regret or rehearsal, I couldn't tell. Alex and Lily, they've been feeling overwhelmed. The house was such a generous gift, but it shifted things. People are talking about your success, how you're the one who made it all possible. Alex doesn't want the day to revolve around that. Around you? I paced my apartment, phone clutched like a lifeline. This is insane. It's his wedding. Family. I gave him the house because I love him, not to steal thunder. Dad's voice boomed from the speakerphone, joining the call uninvited. You've always been the center of attention, even when you didn't mean to. Dropping out, running off to California, striking it rich. Now this grand gesture. It's emasculating him. Son, let him have his moment without the shadow. Emasculating, the word stung. Dredging up old wounds. Dad's lectures on manhood. His disappointment in my soft tech world versus his blue-collar grit. But this exclusion from my brother's wedding. It felt like erasure, like all my efforts to bridge the gap had only widened it. Nights blurred into insomnia-fueled reflections. I replayed every interaction. The hug at the house reveal, Alex's tears of joy. Had I missed the undercurrents? The way Mom's praise always carried a caveat so generous. But remember, money isn't everything. Dad's grunts masking resentment over his own unachieved dreams, a small business that folded in the recession, leaving him bitter. Analixta? My little brother, who'd idolized me, Now, perhaps resenting the pedestal I'd unwittingly placed him on near onder. The house, meant as a foundation, had become a monument to inequality. Friends in Silicon Valley didn't get it. Screw them. Enjoy your life. But they hadn't grown up in our world, where success was suspect if it came too fast, too flashy. I tried reaching out directly. Texts to Alex went unanswered for days. Then a curt reply, "Need time to think." Lily called once, her voice apologetic. "He's stressed. That's all." The planning, the expectations. But her words trailed off, leaving voids filled with doubt. I scrolled through old photos says, as kids building forts, graduating high school, my arm around him protectively. How had love twisted into this? The wedding loomed, 2 months away, invitations confirmed without me. Family group chats buzzed with excitement, cousins flying in, aunts baking cakes while I sat on the sidelines, an outsider in my own bloodline. Desperation led to a last-ditch trip home, pulling up to the house the one I'd gifted, now alive with wedding prep chaos. I knocked, heart hammering. Alex unsweared, looking haggard, dark circles under his eyes. "What are you doing here?" Not angry, but weary. We talked for hours in the backyard, under the tree I'd imagined kids climbing. "It's not you," he said finally, staring at his hands. "It's me. Us. The house. It's amazing, but every time someone comments on it, I feel." Part 2. Unraveling threads and hidden truths reeling from the call. I drove straight to Alex's new house, the one I'd gifted. Now a symbol of my unraveling life, the highway blurred through tears I refused to let fall. Each mile a reminder of the chasm widening between us. The colonial facade loomed under the twilight sky, windows glowing warmly like nothing was amiss. I parked haphazardly, slamming the car door with more force than intended. My heart pounding a frantic rhythm. Alex opened the door before I could knock, his face pale, etched with guilt that mirrored the knot in my stomach. Lily hovered behind him, her wide eyes darting between us, hands twisting the hem of her sweater, nervous habit I'd seen during family gatherings. "Bro, it's not what you think," he stammered, stepping aside to let me in, but I barreled past, my voice cracking like brittle ice. "Then what is it? I gave you a future, a goddamn foundation, and you repay me by excluding me from yours. From the one day that's supposed to celebrate love and family." We collapsed into the living room I'd helped furnish just months ago, the plush sex where we'd brainstormed wedding toasts, the coffee table scattered with half-finished invitations. The air hung heavy with the scent of Lily's herbal tea, a futile attempt at calm in the storm brewing. I paced, words tumbling out in a torrent of hurt and confusion. "Explain it to me, Alex. Make it make sense, because right now, it feels like I've been erased from your life." He sank into the couch, head in hands, shoulders shaking. Lily perched beside him, her hand on his back, but her gaze met mine with a silent "Please don't break him." Finally, looked up, eyes red-rimmed. "It's everything, man. The house. The house. It's incredible, but it's also this huge thing hanging over us. Every time we have people over, it's your brother must be loaded, or how's it feel living in a mansion, courtesy of the tech whiz? I feel like a kid playing house, not a man building one." His words pierced deeper than any accusation. I'd thought the gift was pure, untainted by ego, but here it was, festering like an open wound. As he spoke, the truths unraveled. Threads I'd ignored for years, suddenly connecting in a painful tapestry. Our parents had been the puppeteers all along, whispering doubts into Alex's ear during those family check-ins I'd missed while buried in code. "They kept saying how your success makes me look small," he confessed, voice barely above a whisper. "Dad with his stories about real work, Mom fretting that I'd always be in your shadow. And the house? It just amplified it all. Like proof that I couldn't do it on my own." Lily nodded reluctantly, adding softly, "They called after the reveal. Planting seeds. Don't let him overshadow the wedding. Eat snow by." I slumped into an armchair, the one facing the bay window where Alex's design sketches now lay abandoned. The room spun with memories us as boys, sharing secrets under blankets, me wiring money for his college tuition when Dad's hours got cut. Alex's proud texts when my app launched. How had it twisted into this? That night, after Alex and Lily retired upstairs, leaving me to the guest room, irony of ironies, in the house I'd bought, Mom called, her voice, tearful and hesitant, cracked the dam. "We never meant for this," she began. But I interrupted, raw anger spilling over. "Then why? Why poison him against me?" Silence, then the flood. They'd always resented my independence, viewing my departure to California as abandonment, a rejection of their values. "You left us behind," she sobbed, "and when you succeeded, it highlighted our struggles. Dad's business. That went under, remember? The hardware store. He poured everything into it, only for it to fail in the crash. Your startup thriving." It felt like a slap. The house, she admitted, was the tipping point. It amplified their insecurities. Dad's unfulfilled ambitions, her dreams of a close-knit family shattered by distance. "We thought you'd rub it in, show off at the wedding. We were a ruin, but fear makes monsters of us all." Her words were daggers, twisting in old scars. I'd always known the undercurrents: Dad's gruff dismissals of my fancy job, Mom's passive sighs about family first. But hearing it, laid bare, it shattered illusions I'd clung to. Alex, my rock through it all, had been caught in the crossfire, his own doubts fertilized by their whispers. He joined the call later, breaking down fully. "I didn't want to hurt you," it choked out, "but they convinced me the wedding would be tended guests fawning over you, toasts turning to your success. I was weak, bro, scared of not measuring up." We talked until dawn, peeling back layers of resentment built over years. Lily brought coffee, her quiet strength anchoring us, sharing how she'd tried to mediate, but got drowned out by the family chorus. The days following were a whirlwind of raw emotions and tentative bridges. I stayed in town, crashing on their couch, despite the awkwardness, determined not to let this fracture define us. We revisited childhood haunts, the old park, where we'd played catch, the diner, with the best milkshakes, reminiscing, without the rose-tinted glasses. Alex opened up about his insecurities. The pressure of being the good son, the fear that his graphic design gig was mediocre next to my tech empire. "You've always been the trailblazer," he said one afternoon, as we walked the neighborhood. I admired it, but it stung too. I shared my sight, the isolation of success, the nights doubting if it was worth the family rift. "The house wasn't about pity," I told him. "It was about giving you what I wished we'd had growing up, without strings." Lily, Everett the peacemaker, suggested family therapy, but Dad balked at first, his pride a fortress. Mom, though, pushed, her guilt a motivator. As the wedding approached, tension simmered. Invitations were out, the vineyard booked, but my absence loomed like a ghost. I helped where I could, polishing Alex's vows, helping Lily pick send-up of service, masking the ache. Then, a breakthrough, over a tense family dinner at the house. Dad finally cracked, fueled by a few beers. He admitted his envy. "I wanted to build something like you did," he grumbled, staring at his plate. "Failed, and seeing you hand Alex the world ... It burned. Tears from a man who'd never shown vulnerability yet. Human him, thawed. The ice. We hugged awkwardly, promises of change hanging in the air. In the end, I crashed the wedding anyway, not with anger or dramatics, but with a quiet entrance during the vows, slipping into the back row, amid the rustle of silk and whispers. The vineyard was a dream. Rosa vines under a azure sky, fairy lights twinkling as the sun dipped. Alex, in his sharp tux, spotted me mid-ceremony, his face a storm of regret and relief that nearly undid me. He faltered on his lines, eyes locking with mine, a silent apology crossing the aisle. Lily, radiant in white, squeezed his hand, her smile inclusive. The officiant proceeded, but the moment shift family ties, mending in real time. After the IDOS, chaos ensued. Guests mingled under tents, clinking glasses to toasts, but Alex pulled me aside to a quiet corner overlooking the hills. Juice. Duve. Came, he breathed, hugging me fiercely. I'm so sorry. I was an idiot. We laughed through tears, the weight lifting. Lily joined, her veil fluttering, whispering thanks. Even our parents approached. Mom's embrace tight, Dad's nod gruff but genuine. Should have invited you proper, he muttered. That night, under the stars, we reconciled, fully dancing to the band, sharing stories that healed rather than hurt. The honeymoon I'd funded became a symbol of renewal, not obligation. The house stood as a reminder in the months that followed. Generosity can wound as much as heal, exposing vulnerabilities we'd buried. But love, it rebuilds stronger, forging resilience from the ruins. We started traditions, weekly video calls, no topics off limit, therapy sessions where truths flowed freely. Alex's business flourished in his new studio. My advice sought not resent. Lily announced a pregnancy, the nursery I'd envisioned coming to life. Yet, as I drove away from that vineyard, back to my Silicon Valley solitude, I wondered if some family ties are meant to fray, only to weave back tight or snap forever. Success had tested us, but survival strengthened the bond. Still, shadows lingered. Would resentment resurface in future milestones? A child's birth? A career milestone? I glanced in the rear view, the lights fading, carrying hope laced with caution. Family isn't just blood, it's the choice to mend, to forgive, to love despite the cracks. And in that, we'd found our true home, not in bricks and mortar, but in hearts willing to heal.